The key feature of this procedure is to demonstrate what are called N parameters. So the scenario here is we want to write an application that allows the user executing it to specify a salary range at runtime. So the user at runtime will specify a lower salary limit and an upper salary limit. And then we want to, first of all, display the number of employees in the emp table, then display the number of employees within the salary range that we specify. And finally, to display the percentage of employees that fall into that salary range. So the question says, the user may want to find out how many employees earn a salary, we'll say, between 1,000 and 3,000 euro. And at execution time, the two values can be fed into the application, and the application then does the rest of the work. So each time the user runs or executes the application, a different salary range values, two different values can be chosen, and therefore different results will be generated. So before I go into the detail of the application, if you look down at the very bottom here, we have the execute command. So the execute command says execute. The name of the procedure is count emp sal range 1,000 and 3,000. So when we run this procedure, it's going to, one of the things it's going to do is to bring back and tell us how many people or how many employees earn between 1,000 and 3,000 euro. So the first thing we'll do is we'll compile and run the procedure as per usual, and then see how it works and see the results, and then maybe explain in detail how it works. So first of all, I'm going to run the two preliminary commands, the set server output on command and the clear screen command. So we want to ensure, as is obvious, that when we run the procedure, that any output we want to have displayed, we want to guarantee that it is displayed. So set server output on will enable us to do that. So to then compile the procedure, I'm going to make a little mistake in it just to make sure it's make sure that we can demonstrate the show error message and how that works. So we're going to try and compile the procedure. So when we compile the procedure, Oracle responds and says procedure created with compilation errors, and then we can run the show error message. So the show error message then will give us an idea where the errors are. So it tells us the error is on line 4.1, first position on line 4. But line 4 looks fine. All it has is the word begin, and it's spelled correctly, and there's no extra punctuation in there. So when you look at an error like that, if it isn't on the line that Oracle indicates, then try the line above it and the line below it. So we know that the error is on line 3 because we left out a semicolon. So what's happening here is that when Oracle encounters line 4, it can't make sense of it. And the reason it can't make sense of it is because line 3 hasn't been completed properly. So we'll go back in now and put in the semicolon again. And we'll clear the screen again, etc. And we'll go all the way down, this time as far as the show error message, to save me copying it across an extra time. So this time when the procedure compiles, there's no errors. So there's no logic errors in the procedure. Or no syntax errors, rather. There could be logic errors. So what we'll do now is we can now execute the procedure, and we will look for the employees between 1,000 and 3,000. So when we execute the procedure, it first of all tells us the total number of employees in the database is 16. The total number of employees in the range we specify is 13. The percentage of the employees in that range is 81%. So that's what the procedure does when it's executed. So now let's go back and look at the detail behind that. So in this case, as I said, looking at the execute command again, there's, after the procedure name, inside brackets, we have two values, two parameters. And they correspond to the low salary, the 1,000, and the high salary, which is 3,000. So now if we go up to the first line of the procedure, when we look at the create line, we're creating or replacing the procedure called count emp sal range, and inside the brackets it says sal low in integer, comma, sal high in integer. So this is where we indicate to Oracle to expect two values. So the two values, we give them names, sal low and sal high. And because they're both being passed into the procedure or fed into the procedure, they're both in parameters. And in addition, they're both whole numbers, so they're both classified as integers. So they're both a type of number. And in the procedure, what we want to do is we want to get a count of the the total number of employees first of all, and then a count of the employees in that range. So that's why you see two variables declared, vCountEmp, and it's declared as a number, and it's 2 in size because we have well under 100 employees, so a 2-digit number will be adequate. And likewise, vCountEmpRange is also numeric, and it's 2. So they're the two variables declared. Next, in the main body of code between begin and end, you see some comment statements there in blue and italics. So the first thing we need to do is to find out how many employees are in the table. That's why the select statement says select count star into vCountEmp. So when this query goes to the table, it generates the number of rows, returns the number of rows, but it needs to store them in the variable vCountEmp. And to prove that's happening successfully, the dbms output command, or the print command, tells us that the total number of employees in the database is, on the 2 pipe characters, vCountEmp. So if you look across to the execution of the program, you see that whole message plus the value in the variable are displayed on the 1 line, and the pipes do that. The 2 pipes side by side do that, and the message is inside quotes. And then I have a dbms output command just with a line of asterisks on it. Sometimes useful when you're trying to split output to make it easier to read. Then we have a second select statement, but this time the select statement has a where clause. And the where clause is the key line in the statement, because it says where Sal between Sal low and Sal high. And when the program's executing in this case, Sal low is 1000 and Sal high is 3000. So this time it counts the number of rows in the emp table where the salary falls between those 2 values. And the result that gets back, the count star in this case, is stored in the variable vCountEmpRange. So therefore it's counting the number of values that meet the where clause condition, and it's held in the variable vCountEmpRange. And that's followed by a dbms output command, again the same layout as the previous one, and it will print on screen the number of employees in the range. And in the execute command, you see that it turned out to be 13. And finally, in the procedure, the other element of it is we want to get the percentage of employees in that salary range. So we have a dbms output command which is followed by the message percent employees in the range equals, and then we have a round function, and within the round function we divide the number of employees in the range by the total number of employees, and we end up with a percent symbol at the end, inside quotes as well. So when that's printed on the screen in the execution, it says percent employees in range equals 81%. So that's the end of the procedure. So again, the key message in this procedure is that it gives us flexibility. It allows us to use n parameters, and the n parameters are then they're fed in at execution time, in this case 2 of them, and then they're used during the program in the where clause of the select statement to do that particular job of counting the number of employees in that 1000 to 3000 salary range. So that's the end of this example on n parameters in a PLSQL procedure.